8 e-bike brands are cutting prices right now, and they are not calling it what it is. Some are trimming a few $100s, some are cutting thousands overnight. Number 8. Velotric. Velotric is one of the newer California-based brands that sells directly to riders, skipping the bike shop entirely. Clean industrial design, torque sensors on the mid-tier models, a warranty that covers frames and components for 2 years. For a few seasons, they were the quiet success story of the value segment. In 2026, they started giving product away. The Fold 1, a compact folding commuter built for apartment stairwells and train platforms, carried a $1,500 list price. Over the summer, that dropped a flat $500, landing at $999. No bundle math, no stacked coupon codes, just a straight cut of a third off the sticker. The T1 ST Plus tells the same story in a different accent. It is Velotric's lightweight urban bike, the one built to be carried up a flight of stairs without wrecking your back. During the summer sale, it landed near $1,350 with a modular rear rack, a fender pack, and a range extender battery thrown in. If you have shopped for a range extender separately, you know that alone is a few $100s of value. The base bike weighs under 40 pounds, which is the whole reason people buy it. Then look at the fine print around the edges. Referral discounts, newsletter discounts, military, first responder, teacher, and student discounts, a university partnership program, $60 off here, $50 off there. None of this makes Velotric a bad bike. The hardware is genuinely solid for the money, and for a rider on a budget, this is close to the best window in years. But when a brand needs 6 different reasons for you to walk in, the traffic outside is thinner than it used to be. Number 7. 10ways. 10ways came out of Europe with a specific idea about what a city e-bike should be. Light, quiet, and running a carbon belt instead of a greasy chain. No fat tires, no fake motorcycle styling, just something that looks like a bicycle and happens to help you up hills. The CGO 600 Pro weighs about 37 pounds, which in the electric bike world is genuinely featherweight. That bike now sits around $1,599 with a free accessory bundle attached. The AGO X, their all-terrain mid-drive, tells a sharper story. It listed at $2,499. Through most of 2026, it has been selling at $1,899 with a $300 gear package included. That is a $600 swing on a bike that has been on the market barely more than a year. The Wayfarer, their premium cruiser, has bounced between $2,200 and $1,649 depending on which holiday weekend you catch it. Same bike, same specification, a $500 spread inside a single calendar year. If you happen to buy at the wrong moment, you paid for someone else's discount. Now watch the strategy underneath, because 10ways is doing something deliberate. They keep talking about bundles. A free $370 accessory pack, a free $277 bundle, a free $118 bundle. The list price stays visible and mostly intact, while the real value quietly shifts into the box. There is a reason for that. Once you publicly reset a price downward, going back up is brutally difficult. Every customer who paid full price 6 months ago feels burned, and every customer waiting on the sidelines learns to simply wait longer. Bundles let a brand move inventory without permanently teaching the market that its bikes are worth less. It is a smart defense. It is also an admission that the inventory needs moving in the first place. Which brings us to a brand that decided defense was not enough and rebuilt its entire lineup instead. Number 6. Super 73. Super 73 built something almost nobody else in this industry managed to build, which is a genuine lifestyle brand. The banana seat, the low stance, the moto-inspired silhouette. These bikes showed up in music videos and outside coffee shops in Venice Beach. Riders bought them for the same reason people buy certain sneakers. The bike was the statement. Statements are expensive to maintain when the market cools. The ZX Core, a mid-range model in the lineup, lists at $2,495 and has been selling closer to $2,300. The ZX SE lists at $2,895 and has been moving near $2,700. $200 to $400 off a premium lifestyle product is not a fire sale, but for a brand whose whole pitch is desirability, any visible discount carries weight. Luxury works partly because it refuses to negotiate. The bigger signal came in March of 2026, when Super 73 tore up its own lineup. The new A-Series abandoned the one-size-fits-most approach the company had used for years and split into 3 seat height platforms. 27-inch, 30-inch, and 33-inch. That decision tripled the number of variations they have to build, stock, and ship, which is an enormous operational headache to take on voluntarily. The 27-inch model, called the MZFT, opens at $1,995. The 30-inch M1D starts at $2,495. For a company whose flagship Adventure Series models run past $4,000, deliberately building a door at under $2,000 is a strategic retreat dressed up as a product launch. Recalls happen across this industry constantly, and Super 73 handled it, but reputation is the entire product when you are selling identity. Now we move from a brand adjusting its lineup to a brand that reset its entire price structure overnight. Number 5. Specialized. This one genuinely surprised the industry. In May of 2026, Specialized told its retailers across the United States and Canada that it was permanently lowering prices on the entire Turbo Levo electric mountain bike lineup. Not a promotion, not a clearance event on outgoing model years, a permanent reset written into the price book. The reductions ran from 6% all the way to 27% depending on the model. Wholesale pricing to dealers dropped by 3 to 27% alongside it. The deepest cuts landed on the top of the range, where the Levo RS Works went from $15,650 down to $11,500. That is a $4,150 reduction on a single bicycle. The company framed it around operational improvements that lowered manufacturing costs on the Levo platform, plus what they called a competitive moment in electric mountain biking. Translation: new entrants had arrived selling comparable performance for dramatically less money, and holding the old price was no longer realistic. What makes this story interesting is the mess it creates downstream. Every dealer with a Levo already sitting on the showroom floor just watched their inventory lose value overnight. Every rider who bought one in March just discovered their bike depreciated $4,000 before the first chain replacement. Specialized addressed both. Retailers who purchased Levo models in the months before the change received inventory credits that adjusted their cost basis to match the new structure. Riders who had registered a Levo since the start of the year were emailed something called a founder's credit, worth half the price difference on their specific model. That is a company spending real money to clean up the damage from its own price cut, which tells you how badly the cut was needed. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. We dig into the technology, the economics, and the real riding stories behind electric bikes every week. Number 4. Aventon. Aventon is one of the most visible names in American electric bikes, and the sheer frequency of its discounting in 2026 is the story here. Start with the Level 3 Smart Commuter, which carries an $18.99 list price. Through the first stretch of 2026, the deepest discount anyone tracked was $16.99, a $200 cut that appeared during Black Friday and again in spring. That was the floor for months. Then in late July, Aventon ran a weekend flash sale and dropped it to $12.99, $600 off, a brand new all-time low. And when that weekend ended, they ran the exact same sale again the following week. The Pace 4 Cruiser followed the identical path, from $17.99 down to $12.99. The Adventure 3, their all-terrain workhorse and easily their most popular model, moved from $19.99 to $17.49. The mid-drive Adventure M landed near $26.49. Even the current ADV, a serious electric mountain bike, received its first discount ever, dropping to $39.99. The pattern across that whole list is what matters. A brand that spent months holding a firm $200 discount, suddenly tripling it, then repeating the sale immediately, is a brand watching units sit still. Flash sales create urgency, but running the same flash sale twice in a row quietly tells the market that the urgency was manufactured. For riders, this is close to a gift. The Level 3 packs GPS tracking, auto-locking, unusual movement alerts, and a built-in alarm, which is real theft protection on a bike, now selling for less than $1,300. 2 years ago, that feature set lived comfortably above $2,000. Aventon has not gone anywhere, and the bikes themselves keep improving. But a company confident in demand does not need to run the same emergency sale 2 weekends running. American brands are not alone in this. Cross the Atlantic and the pressure looks even heavier. Number 3. Canyon. Canyon is the German engineering house that made direct-to-consumer respectable in serious cycling. World Tour teams ride their frames. The brand skips dealers entirely and ships bikes to your door in a famously well-designed cardboard box, which lets them price roughly 20 to 25% below comparable bikes sold through shops. That was always the pitch. Same technology, less markup. It worked beautifully until the entire European market inhaled too much inventory. Canyon has been openly wrestling with excess stock, and the pressure valve is the factory outlet. Reductions there reach roughly a quarter off list price, often on bikes with nothing wrong beyond minor cosmetic imperfections. A scratch on a chainstay, a paint flaw you would need to hunt for. The electric side is carrying the deepest cuts. The Spectral On, their all-mountain electric trail bike, and the Strive On, the enduro version, both running Bosch motors and 750 watt-hour batteries, have been among the most heavily discounted machines in the catalog. On the entry side, the Grand Canyon On hardtail has been landing near €2,300, which for a Bosch-equipped electric mountain bike from a brand of this pedigree is remarkable. Now sit with the math for a second. Canyon already prices below the dealer network competition by design. Their whole business model is built on thin margins and volume. When a company like that starts discounting another 24% on top, there is very little cushion left underneath. The European picture explains why. E-bike sales in France fell roughly 16% in a single year. Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands have all seen sustained contraction. Across the continent, discounting in the range of 20 to 30% became the normal way to move product rather than the exception. Number 2. Ride OneUp. Ride OneUp is a San Diego operation with a reputation among enthusiasts for putting genuinely good components on genuinely affordable frames. They do not spend heavily on advertising. They do not chase influencers. The business is built on riders telling other riders that the specification sheet is honest. That model runs on razor-thin margins by design. So when Ride OneUp cuts $700 off a bike, it means something different than when a luxury brand does the same. The Prodigy V2 is their flagship. German-engineered Bros mid-drive motor, the kind of system you normally find on bikes costing twice as much. It listed at $24.95. In 2026, it dropped to $17.95, $700 gone, on a bike that was already considered one of the best values in the category. The Gates belt drive version with the continuously variable transmission moved from $27.95 down through $25.95 and lower. The Portola, their compact folding commuter, took a $300 cut. The entire Vorsa family, including the LT and FT variants, hit their lowest prices of the year, starting around $13.95. Even the CF Racer 1, an ultralight carbon fiber build, came down $100 to $21.95. One model clearing out is housekeeping. The whole catalog moving down at once, from the entry folder to the carbon halo build, is something else. For a value brand, price is the entire competitive position. Cutting into it this deeply across this many products in the same calendar year is what a company does when the alternative is watching containers of unsold inventory accumulate warehouse fees. Number 1. Rad Power Bikes. Rad Power did more to put ordinary Americans on electric bikes than almost any other company. Retirees rediscovering their neighborhoods. Seattle-based, founded well before the boom, and at its peak valued at $1.65 billion. Then the pandemic surge ended, and Rad discovered it had built a company sized for a demand curve that no longer existed. Factories were still shipping against orders placed when waitlists ran months deep. The unwinding took years, 7 separate rounds of layoffs, 3 different chief executives cycling through the top job, a retreat out of the United Kingdom and European Union markets entirely, warehouses full of bikes ordered for a future that did not arrive. In November of 2025, the Consumer Product Safety Commission issued a recall order covering certain older Rad battery packs, identifying 31 reported fires and labeling the batteries a hazard capable of causing serious injury or death. Rad pushed back publicly and firmly, standing behind its products and disputing the characterization. But the headline had already landed on a brand whose customers were parents putting children on the back. In January of 2026, its Huntington Beach retail warehouse caught fire. On the 22nd of that month, the company's assets went to auction. 5 bidders showed up. Opening bid, $8 million. Life Electric Vehicles Holdings, a Florida company, won it for roughly $13.2 million, closer to $15 million once liabilities were counted. A company once worth $1.65 billion sold for $13.2 million. That is a 99% decline. The brand continues under new ownership, and remaining stock has been moving at clearance pricing. If you want a Radrunner cheap, they exist. Just understand what you are buying and what warranty support looks like on the other side of a bankruptcy. So what do 8 brands, from a $900 folder to a $15,000 mountain bike, actually have in common? 3 forces. Mostly the first is tariffs. Electric bikes imported from China have carried a cumulative duty around 45% in 2026, down from 55% after industry advocacy, but at peak in 2025 that figure touched 84%. Roughly 90% of e-bikes sold in America are assembled in China or built with Chinese parts, and those costs land on the importer, not the exporter. The second is the inventory hangover. Brands ordered for 2021 demand and received 2024 reality. Bikes bought during the boom are still perfectly rideable, so replacement cycles stretched out. Participation stayed strong while purchasing went quiet. Dealers who got burned once started ordering conservatively, which pushed the surplus back up the chain onto the brands themselves. The third is simple competition. New manufacturers arrived offering comparable motors, comparable batteries, and comparable frames for meaningfully less. That is what forced a company like Specialized to permanently rewrite its own price book. For anyone shopping right now, this is the best buying window since before the boom. But chase the discount carefully. Check that the battery carries a genuine safety certification. Check whether replacement parts will exist in 3 years. Check whether the warranty is backed by a company that will still be answering the phone. A bike at half price is only a bargain if the brand behind it survives long enough to service it. There is a version of this story that reads like an obituary for electric bikes. That is not what is happening. More people are riding than ever, the motors are quieter, the batteries are safer, and cargo models are quietly replacing second cars in cities across the world. What collapsed was a set of expectations about how fast the money would arrive, not the appeal of the machine itself. The technology has never been better. The prices have never been friendlier. Just know which of those two things you are actually paying for. If this was useful, subscribe. And tell us in the comments which brand you think does not make it to 2027.